A few years ago, in a moment of serious hunger, I consumed a payday that had expired over 2 years earlier.
The controversial case against obscure bike adventurer Brian Waymeyer ended today with a guilty verdict stemming from his 2023 consumption of an expired payday candy bar. Brian received the maximum penalty of banishment from Earth.
This is crazy.
Like us.
2, 1. Thank you, Brian.
Stranded on Earth with no option to simply beam away to outer space, Brian continues to escape mere steps ahead of law enforcement. However, a mysterious ally appears out of nowhere, giving him tips on where to go next. Who is this secret friend? At this point, we have no clues. Yeah, I'm gonna hold out a video or two before disclosing this person just to keep you watching. You can cut the tension with a knife. A quintessential cliffhanger, man against nature, survival hanging in the balance.
It's been a long time since I've been here. You know, I grew up about an hour away in Cincinnati. So this was a place of a lot of little family getaways when I was a kid. When I got older, it was the site of my first marathon. It was in the dead of winter. There was an inch of ice and about 3 inches of snow on top of it. But after all that training, I, with a lot of other runners, decided we were going to run it regardless. So we did it. And guess what? For the record, I came in 3rd place in my age group. Footnote, there were only 3 people in my age group. But you know, my fondest memories, almost 30 years ago, in fact, yes, right after my 30th birthday, which was right after the birth of my oldest son, we moved to the beautiful little town of Oxford, Ohio, just up the road here, so that I could attend grad school at Miami University. When I came, they were still the Redskins. When I left, they were the Red Hawks. I was here for the Wally Serbiak years, but before the Ben Roethlisberger years. Two of the best years of my life. Absolutely loved it. Cute town, and a chance to, well, how do I want to phrase it? Probably one of the biggest periods of growth in my entire life. Which leads me to, I told you we're coming down to the last few. But this one, well, let me say it and then I'll explain it. One of the keys to a healthy mind is to maintain a growth mindset. That sounds like a buzzword. Yeah, it probably is. You want to call it something else? Call it continuous improvement. I didn't use that first because that's even a bigger buzzword. You know, people have asked me what I did professionally before retirement. And that's what I did. 25 years of my life were spent in the field of continuous improvement. And what does that really mean? Well, I'll summarize it this way. It's learning to get better at what you do. Now, obviously, that was focused on professional pursuits. But you know, since retirement, it struck me how continuous improvement it's in my blood. Whatever you do in life, you know, what will help you to maintain a happy and healthy mindset is to get better. I don't care what it is you're doing. Maybe you want to become a better parent. Get better at being a parent. Maybe you want to become a great bike tourer. Get better at it. That's what makes life exciting. I used to see people on the career front that used to say, "Oh, I'm so bored with my job." And I'd say, "Well, hey, how about having a career instead of a job?" And when they'd ask, "Well, what does that mean?" I'd say the difference is a career is when you turn a role, a job, which is, you know, based on certain skills, mastering those skills, getting better at it, constantly getting better. That is when a job becomes exciting. And quite frankly, that's when life becomes exciting. How you doing? Good. You know, one thing I've never discussed, but is a regular practice for me, is at the end of every bike journey, I take a good half hour to an hour and I reflect on what went well and what did not go well. And then I try to think about, how could I get better? What could I do differently next time to make it a better experience? Maybe I should train. Maybe I should listen to my buddy Kevin and start drinking water, drinking more water. Kevin gave me a bottle for my birthday. Thank you, Kevin. I already drank out of it a couple times, just so you know. But you know, maybe you're in your job. Maybe you feel stuck. I bet you your company offers classes that will help you to develop your skills and get better. I bet there might be evening classes or night school or community college or whatever, where you could learn new things and get better at something. I talked about this almost a year ago on the Natchez. Learning, constantly learning. You want a kick in the butt to get out of a rut? That rhymed. Go learn. Go learn something. Be a growth-oriented person. Don't just sit back and keep doing the same thing all the time. Faking the same thing. Using the same skills. Get out there and learn some new things. Makes life exciting. And it gets your brain and your mind in a really healthy place. Nah, I don't remember all these hills. Why, yes, I did upgrade my flying camera. Some of you may remember I had the original Hover X1. Don't call it a drone. It is a flying camera. They're very careful to use that on their website because in so doing, they skirt a lot of regulation on drone laws by the FAA. It's not a GPS enabled drone. It has a lot of smart technology in it to follow you and whatever, but it's not GPS, which technically would make it a drone. I'll do a little bit more review of it later. I'm learning the new one, the Promax, and I'll tell you what, they fixed every problem that I had with the old one, which is a good thing. So anyway, I'll share more about it later. So if you're ever in the neighborhood and want to visit beautiful Hueston Woods, the Lake Loop is, well, one loop is 10 miles. For the record, I just did it twice, but I didn't want to record it a second time. How you doing? Hi. Awesome place, great memories. You know, I think this is a rail trail. What do you think? Now that's cool. That is incredibly cool. I don't know how many of you know about the Great American Rail Trail, but very ambitious program to go across the country on some of the best rail trails that are out there. You know, the C&O Gap, the Greenway in Indiana, and now this. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised. Fantastic. I don't know where that whole project stands. I know that they run into issues in certain places that they can't get right away to connect certain things, and you know, but well, great idea. I looked both ways. All right, little bonus, healthy mind. You know, yesterday after I went on my ride around the lake at Hueston Woods, I went up to the little town of Oxford, walked around campus. Obviously, it has changed a lot in 30 years. I ended up staying there overnight. I don't know, I was having such a good time, I figured I'd enjoy the rest of the day and stay. They're not in session yet, you know. There's some seniors that are partying up already, which brought back some fun memories, but yeah, that's the way I would describe the day. It was just a flood of memories. Many great ones. But in the midst of that, were tough memories. And I got to thinking about, you know, I don't know who it was that said, our life is a collection of memories. Who you are, who I am, is based on all of those memories. Good, bad, happy, painful. You know, and the happy memories are easy to deal with, right? You always want to have those around. But what do you do with tough memories? Because, you know, I think we have an inclination, oh, I'll just try to forget about that stuff. And your mind doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So how do you process those memories that they don't hold you back? You know, about, I'm gonna say 4 years ago, when I was thinking about retirement, I called a friend of mine, dear friend. He is, 20 years older, and retired for a long time. And I asked his advice. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, although I guess maybe I was at the time. His first bit of advice to me was about processing memories. He said retirement's this great new phase in life. You get to move on and do something new. You know, some people go and volunteer, some people go and travel the world, some people, you know, go back to school. He knew, you know, about cycling and how much I enjoyed it, and he knew that, you know, this was going to be a part of things, and he said you're going to need the ability to move into that new phase. And he said one of the things that will hold you back from moving into that new phase is not processing the past. And, you know, I can remember sitting there with a notebook scribbling down notes as he was talking. And I said, all right, how do you do that? How do you process tough memories? And he said, I do 3 things. I love when people do that. You know, I've always talked about the fascination with 3 things, must always be 3. He said, the first thing I do in a tough memory is I look at myself and I ask, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Could I have acted better? Did I wrong someone? And he said in some cases, you might even want to call that person and ask for forgiveness. I thought, wow, okay. Let me back up the train. He asked me, he said, look, you probably know things that happen in your career that puzzle you. They weren't good experiences. Conflict, or people you didn't get along with, or, you know, whatever. And he said, make a list. Okay, that was his first bit of advice. Then his advice was the 3 things, one of which was to ask what you did wrong. And maybe seek people out and seek forgiveness. Say you're sorry. And I thought, wow, okay. So of the list, I sat down one night and I came up with about 20 things that just were sort of unresolved. Actually, it was more than 20. I don't remember the number now. It's on my phone. And I called a few people. And they were like, Brian, great to hear from you. Oh my gosh, how you doing? You know, we talked for a while, and then I said, hey, you know, I really did have a reason to call you. And I said, you know, you remember that one project we were working on? And, you know, doing this, that, or the other. And hey, I just wanted to say I was sorry. I didn't treat you right. And in one case, the person said, Brian, is something wrong? They're like, I don't remember it like that. You know, I mean, one person said, look, if it's important to you to be forgiven, listen, you got it, man. One other person I called said, you know, Brian, I really appreciate you calling. I never understood what happened. And I always asked in my mind, why did Brian act that way? And we really resolved something. And you know, and look, you might think that's silly, but when someone else remembers an action and you can make peace with that person, what a great thing. Well, I've worked through that list. It took about 1.5 years. So you seek out what you did wrong. Second step is think about the people you just need to forgive yourself. You know, don't carry bitterness. I like the definition of bitterness. It's drinking poison and hoping your enemy dies. Don't carry that. You know, what is forgiveness? Well, saying in your mind, I don't know where that person was going. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they were doing. But you know what? I'm not going to carry that around. I'm just going to be gracious and let it go. Also, an incredibly powerful thing to do. There were several things that I could just feel weight rolling off my shoulders. Third thing is, he said, for all those memories, I would encapsulate in a sentence what you learned from that experience. Because if you can put it in a sentence, when it pops in your head again someday, which is what happened yesterday in Oxford, I was flooded by a ton of memories, some that were tough. But I knew what I'd learned during that time. I knew it was a period of like massive growth. I hope that's helpful. I like to pass along good advice I've gotten, and I think that was some of the best. By the way, a memory that I enjoyed recalling was going up to Main Street to a bar to watch Tyson bite off Hollifield's ear. You remember that? Talking about a flood of memories. That entire bar went silent, and we were all just staring at the screen in disbelief. How you doing? Good morning to you. Where am I today? You're asking where am I? I am in beautiful Culver, Indiana. What am I doing in Culver, Indiana? Well, you've seen videos of me riding with my oldest brother. This is the next closest in age brother. There he is. Check him out. Pose for the camera. This is Steve. Steve has the distinction, and I'm gonna just put it on the record, of having taught me how to ride a bicycle. Steve very patiently out in the front driveway got me out of my purple bike with, you remember that?
I vaguely, yes.
Purple bike with training wheels, and Steve taught me how to ride a bike. so it's all his fault. But we are riding, believe it or not, the trail that I was on yesterday, the Nickel Plate Trail. Well, it keeps going north from where I was riding it, and it ends here in beautiful Culver. Culver is the home of the Culver Military Academy, or Culver Academy. We're not totally sure what I think it may have changed names. I don't know. But the other great fixture here is the absolutely astonishingly beautiful Culver Cottage bed and breakfast. If you're ever in town, ever passing through town, want a place to lay your head down that's not only comfortable but pristine, the Culver Cottage. My brother and sister-in-law run it, so run and own it. Beautiful, beautiful getaway. What a gorgeous town. Beautiful, quaint. The lake's beautiful. Lake Maxinkuckee or something. I don't know. Don't ask me. Lake Max. Beautiful. And we have got just about the prettiest day had in a long while. Gorgeous. We're climbing mountains in Indiana. Hi, how you doing? Good. My brother is feeling young and spry. Look at him up there. He was telling me to take it easy. Look at him go. All right, don't tell him. I'm trying to convince him to go on a longer tour with me. And, well, we'll see. You look good on it. I think you need a touring bike. Okay. I'm proud of my brother. He didn't ride a lot, but we just did that whole lake loop. Pretty good. Hey, if you want to, you know, encourage my brother to get out and ride, leave some comments. I'm gonna cut and paste them and send them to him because he needs some encouragement to get out and ride. Good for him. You know, I'll tell you, the older I get, the more I appreciate. I scored high on the sibling scale. I got some damn good siblings. And I guess the test of time is when you get older, you miss them and you want to be around. Well, one of the days I'll have to get my sister out. My younger sister, maybe, I don't know. Then you get the whole Waymeyer family experience. Which I know you all want. You all want, don't you? Oh, fun day.
In nearby Logansport, Indiana, the Fiberglass Freaks Batman Museum offers an unbelievably vast collection of Batman memorabilia ranging from TV sets, props, and costumes to a wide variety of toys from different eras, including the more recent Batman movies. On the main floor is a replica of the Wayne Manor's study, complete with hidden bat poles that descend into the Batcave. There you find the Batmobile, the Batcomputer, and yes, Batgirl along with her Batcycle. If you're a fan of any degree, it's absolutely worth a visit.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing? I am in the beautiful state of Illinois on the Hennepin Trail, the Hennepin Canal. What's the Hennepin Canal? There you go. There are two trails across northern Illinois. There's the I&M and the Hennepin. There's a gap between them of like, I don't know, 25, 30 miles, something like that. But when ridden together, these two trails, well, essentially cross the state. The eastern side ends, well, almost in Chicago. The western side ends almost in Davenport. Not really, but close enough. And I have wanted to ride these. These two trails have been on my list for a little over a year. I have to offer a very quick but sincere apology to a subscriber that told me about these trails, and I remember he even said, hey, if you're ever around, get a hold of me. I did something very stupid when I got rid of my Ride Along Adventures website. I didn't back up the email, so when they finally wiped my site, they got rid of my email server, and every email I got is now gone. I apologize. If you ever wrote to me at ridealongadventures.com, I'm sorry. It really does pain me because I got so much good advice and it's, well, it's gone. But to you, the person, I remember us talking about the Mickelson Trail and meeting up maybe, so I'm terribly sorry. But what a beautiful trail so far. Just lovely. All right, just a brief history. This canal, well, it was conceived of during the great canal building era in the early 1800s, mid 1800s. But, you know, I mean, this was one of those that was trying to connect to the lake, Great Lakes, out the St. Lawrence Seaway, you know, out to the Atlantic. They ran into a lot of issues building this. By the way, I read 2 articles on this, so I am an expert. They ran into a lot of issues, and it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. Wasn't built till many, many years later, and essentially it was already obsolete by the time it opened. One of the articles estimated that it has made more money as a recreational path for you know, tourists of all kinds than it ever did as a commercial waterway. I don't know how true that is, but I'm happy to contribute in that regard. You know, it had a few years of glory, and then well, was not used much longer after that, except for now a beautiful bikeway. Good on the people, the state. This trail, there is quite a bit of camping available all up and down this trail. Had I known that prior to reading about this morning, I would have brought my tent. But hey, remember a few videos ago when I talked about how to plan an adventure, and I was trying to sum up all the different ways you can adventure? Well, this trip is what I would label in that video a base camp adventure. I got a room at the Best Western in, I don't know how you pronounce it, Anawan or Anawan. Very nice little place, super friendly people. And so there are 3 legs to this canal. There's the east-west, you know, go out one day west, go out one day east, and then there is the feeder line, which is about a 30-mile stretch that goes up and connects to the Rock River, which they connected to in order to supply water to the canal. So Lord willing, I'm gonna, well, today I'm headed east. I'm gonna go out and back, see if I can make it to the end and back. Then I'm gonna do the other 2 on 2 other days. So I'm planning on spending 3 days here. We'll see how that works out. All right, I'm not completely certain, but I may be on the feeder trail at this point. The trail took a pretty distinct left turn, and it looked like it kept going on the other side of the canal. There's no bridge here, so I may do this one first. May not have a choice. if you noticed, the canal is on the left now, meaning I am turning around, whether you can tell or not. It's hot. It's about 95. I just looked on my phone, couldn't believe it. I'm loving this trail. The only thing I would caution is when I stopped to get some gas in the truck, last stop, I don't know, I thought, maybe I'll pick up a few Gatorades. There's not anything in the way of, you know, mini marts or stuff on this trail. So if you ride it, be sure and bring stuff. I got about a half of a Gatorade, and that's gonna have to get me back another 25 miles. So, you know, 50 miles, that's a respectable ride for the day. Isn't it? You think so? Respectable? All right, viewer vote. Is 50 miles respectable or not? Ooh. Okay. Ah, fantastic, thank you. By the way, my phone bleeped a minute ago, and there are some storms. Big storms, severe storms coming in. So I'm just gonna put my head down and get moving. But before that, famous person. Nearby here in the little town of Tampico, Illinois, a young man was born 1911. Went to college. One of his first jobs was as a sportscaster in Des Moines, Iowa, where he had a lot of success. He was very popular, so much so that he stepped out behind the microphone, tried a little acting. Some people say he was a great actor. Others say he was a terrible actor. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't think I ever saw a movie he was in. But anyway, his acting led him to Hollywood, despite whatever his acting skills were. He had leadership skills. He was elected as the president of the Screen Actors Guild on 2 separate occasions. And in 1966, he became the governor of California. You guys know what I'm talking about. He narrowly missed out on the presidential nomination, lost out to Gerald Ford, but then came back and in one of the great landslides of history became the 40th president of the United States. Yes, that is correct, Mr. Ronald Reagan. Well, like him or not, 40th president. Grew up nearby here, probably swam in this canal at some point in his life. That's pretty cool. For those of you playing from home, you know, the surface of this trail is like everything. There's road, there's crushed rock, there's dirt, grass, everything. 3 deer just jumped up out of the canal about 15 feet ahead of me. Ran across the path. My heart is beating through my t-shirt. Woo! Let's get out of the rain for a little bit. You know, the rain feels actually really good, but I don't know, there's no end to that sentence. I got up early this morning because the weather report was bad, and I thought, I'm gonna get out before the weather gets bad. But nope, the weather's just been bad, period. I did get on my rain gear, and I got about 50 feet out into the parking lot when lightning hit. I don't know if you can see it over there, the water tower. Anyway, I turned around and said, nope. So I'm gonna catch up on some bicycling YouTube channels that haven't had a chance to watch for a while and see what happens. I couldn't sit in the hotel room anymore. And well, it leads to a viewer question. What do you do? What do you do on a bike trip when you know, you're stuck? You know, I've said it before. I don't mind riding in the rain. I mean, yes, you get dirty and muddy, the bike gets all dirty. I don't mind that. I really don't. I don't mind heavy rain. I don't really even mind wind. The thing that I simply will not abide is lightning. A friend of mine, and I'm thinking it's my friend Jim. I think so. If you're watching, Jim, I don't know. I think it was you. Showed me, he created a Google map, and on the Google map he just started listing places that he wanted to see. Like me, he likes road trips, and I didn't know you could do this with Google, but if you're out and about, it's happened to me twice just on this little trip, is if you're within, I don't know, an hour, a half hour, I'm trying to figure out what that setting would be, it will alert you that one of the things on your map is nearby. So as I was pulling last night into the Best Western, my phone blooped and said, hey, there's a place nearby that's on your list. I would encourage you, this is one of my favorite Instagram accounts. It's a place called Judy's Family Restaurant. It is in
1 mile. Turn right on State Route 81.
That place right there. There. That place. She has a hilarious Instagram account. And she's always yelling for people to come have her pancakes. So guess what I'm doing? Hey, I'm gonna go have some pancakes for breakfast. And hopefully by the time I get back, it will clear up and I can get out and do some riding today. That was awesome. Just awesome. Listen, if you want to go about adventure, you gotta find these off the wall places. You just have to. She's fantastic. Listen, Judy's Family Cafe. I think I said family restaurant. You gotta go check out her Instagram account. She's hilarious. It's too funny.
But you know what? When I was in there, I talked to her for a few minutes, and then I just watched, you know, the operation. And an old quote came to mind. You know, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Beautiful. She has found what she wants to do in life. Looks like it might be clearing up. Maybe everything coming together after all.
Good late afternoon. Got a little break in the rain, and I just could not sit in that hotel room anymore. It looks like there's going to be about an hour, maybe 2 hours, a little break in the storms. So I took off. I didn't share. Early this morning, I talked to a couple other cyclists. There were a couple other cyclists in that Best Western. They took off about 8, and boy, I'm gonna look out for them tonight. I noticed their truck was still in the parking lot today. They took off riding. They're doing the same thing I'm doing, actually, but they didn't get any more than about 10 minutes away before it was nasty out. So, well, hopefully they had a good ride. If I haven't said it yet today, this trail is very cool. I'm loving it. Absolutely love it. You know I'm a canal fan. So, well, great trail. I'm gonna go out, and when I start seeing big clouds on the horizon, I'm gonna turn around. I'm headed westward to, well, toward the end point at that place right there, that place. I don't think I'm gonna make it all the way there, but anyway, be a good day. This trail really doesn't show it, but I mean, it's rained, I don't know how many hours. This trail, it feels as dry as any other trail. Talked to the guy at the front desk this morning. He said they've had a very long dry spell, and well, you wouldn't know it. This trail just sucked up the moisture. I'm about 12 miles in. It's hot. It's hot today. Do I go back now that I realize I don't have any fluids? One thing about this trail is there's just not a lot in the way of infrastructure. I'm digging this trail. I think it's beautiful. This canal is fantastic. Yesterday when I got back, I was a little dizzy, I'll be honest with you. You know, it was in the mid-90s, and I ran out of fluids about 15 miles before the end. And, oh man,
think I'm gonna go a little bit further and then turn around. I'm not a smart man. I've told you that before. I'm sure as heck not getting any water out of there. You know what would taste really good right now is an ice cold Gatorade sitting on the counter in my hotel room right now. Kevin, it's in the bottle you bought me for my birthday. So thank you. Yeah, I'm headed back. Won't be a long ride today. I actually stopped to talk to a couple guys who were fishing back there. Honestly, I was hoping they had some water. They did offer me a beer, but I turned it down because I did not think that was going to help me at this point. As tempting as that was, cooler full of ice. Could you imagine that? Anyway. Stopped to talk to a guy walking his dog on the trail. Interesting. He's kind of under the impression that the state's just kind of letting this go. Said he hadn't seen it this grown over and the water so filled with, you know, slime and whatnot. That'd be a real shame. What a great trail. That'd be a real bummer. Got to get more people out riding on this. Come on, you Illinois people. Get out and save your trail. All right, that guy got me thinking. It's a dangerous thing. I'm originally from Ohio, as some of you may know. First time I rode the OTET, the Ohio to Erie Trail, you know, I was proud. I rolled into Cincinnati with my buddy Carl, and I thought, you know what, that trail, rock on. That demonstrates all the beauty of the state. I was proud of that trail. If anybody were ever to come, never having visited Ohio, and they rode the OTET, they got to see the beauty, grandeur, majesty of that fine state. So I'd like to instigate a little viewer participation. You know, you guys seem to like that. You like when there's a viewer question. I'd like to know, what is the trail in your state that you're proud of, that you ride and think, yeah, this showcases my state? You don't have to write a big treatise, just put the state in the trail. I'm gonna compile that. I don't know, if I still had a website, I'd publish it. I don't have a website anymore. I'll figure out something creative to do with it. There you go, you ready? Ready, set, go. I'm gonna go over and see if there's some water at this campsite. I'm hoping maybe there's a water spigot somewhere. No, that's not water.
How about over here? Is that water? I don't think so. Ah, bummer. Again, good on you for a nice campground. That is, even a fire pit, picnic tables, very cool. Fisherman somewhere around here. How you doing? All right, new segment. This is one I've been putting off, but I'm gonna do it because I get this question a lot. And it's what channels do you like? What do you watch? I am biased towards smaller channels. You know, I like the people that are growing, trying to grow a channel. Maybe it's close to home. I'm in that group. You know, I've mentioned lots already in the past. I'm not gonna repeat them all. My good buddy Thomas. Thomas is great. Diego, Fly Scout Rider. Billy's Bikes. At Adventure Time with Bane. I am Bane, and I'm on an adventure. If you haven't seen Bane's ride from Ragbri, you gotta go watch that. Few people have captured Ragbri like Bane did. Channel I want to mention right now, I should have looked it up beforehand. I think its name is Amy's Bicycling Adventures. You gotta subscribe to this channel. She does a lot of Instagram in addition to YouTube, but well, she's amazing. She's one of those channels, if something comes out, that's it. However long it is, I'm giving that amount of time. She's got an interesting backstory. I don't want to do her injustice, put words in her mouth, but she was struggling with depression, struggling going through little tunnels, and well, I don't know if it's a significant other, I don't know if it was a boyfriend or husband, bought her a bike. What do you know? She went out, started riding, and discovered how awesome cycling is, how awesome adventure is, how it changes your life. And now, of course, you see the smile on her face and you know. Well, recently, Amy, and this is why I wanted to mention her, if you haven't already seen it, Amy decided to ride the men's Tour de France route ahead of the peloton. I think 4 or 5 days ahead. Her goal was to finish in Paris ahead of them. Which she did. So pardon my language, Amy's a badass. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, subscribe to her. She's got a great outlook on life. The end is in sight, and it's a good thing because my extremities are tingling. doing today? Good. Oh, it's just barely still morning. 2 more minutes. Today's weather's been just like yesterday. Almost exactly the same. I'm gonna say every half hour, been a rainstorm and lightning. And I was not gonna make the mistake I made yesterday. I'm just gonna go. There's no more lightning, okay? But, you know, just rain moving through the area. So I'm gonna do the remaining leg. I'm gonna go eastward. You gotta cross over the canal at a certain point to get on the other side. And yeah, I'm gonna head east. It's here. Can you cross over? All right, just an FYI, you have to cross over. If you don't, then you end up going where I did 2 days ago, and you head up the feeder line. But this looks like somebody came through here with a lawnmower like a couple days ago. It's all big clumps of grass. All right, maybe I turned early. Yes, I did. Well, I don't know what this road is, but I got to remember it next time so I can go back the other way. Yeah, so 2 days ago I was over there, and then I kept going around that bend and headed north. Alright, what do you do? Cross over? You cross? Yeah, I think you do. See, that part of the canal is not trimmed down. You know, a beautiful day like today, gorgeous canal. It's got me deep in thought. If you clean a vacuum cleaner, you are a vacuum cleaner. A chemistry teacher is a bunch of atoms explaining about atoms. A buddy of mine asked me if I was gonna meet my wife at the airport. And I said, no, I met her in college. Whoever coined the term, coined the term. Coined the term, coined the term. You know, when you're young, you sneak out of your house to go to parties. But when you're older, you sneak out of parties to go home. You know, beanbag chairs are basically just boneless sofas. You know, saying you slept 8 hours a night sounds fine, but if you tell somebody you slept 4 months out of the year, it sounds insane. What's another word for synonym? You know, I was playing chess with a friend the other day and he said, let's make this interesting. So we stopped playing chess. All right, and finally one last one. This was sent to me by Ruth. Ruth is a loyal subscriber, but she's also just a badass adventurer in her own right. A priest, a minister, and a rabbit walked into a clinic to donate blood. The nurse turned to the rabbit and said, what kind of blood type are you? And the rabbit said, I'm probably a typo. That's next level humor right there. Thank you, Ruth. Woohoo! You know, last night I went in town to a restaurant called the Purple Onion. High scores on Google. You know how I know it's a small town? 2 pork chops, mashed potatoes, salad bar, sweet tea. $12.50. Delaware, that would have been 30 bucks. Ah, they were super friendly. I talked to the waitress for a little bit. Told her I was riding on the canal And she said, I'm so glad to hear that. She's like, we used to get a lot of traffic. And then after COVID, not so much. You know, I remember somebody saying that on the Cowboy Trail last year. Why? I mean, during COVID, you couldn't buy a bike anywhere. They were all gone. That's strange. Any theories? As this ride comes to an end, special thanks, well done, Illinois Department of Bicycling Fun. Well done. Great trail. Got to get more people out on this thing. This is beautiful. So thanks for coming along. See you on the next one.